Jesus Christ, Jalen, did you catch that line about hearing his dead father's voice telling him to resign? That's not politics, that's fucking Shakespeare. The Prince of New York channeling the ghost of King Mario to justify his exile.
Man, stop. You know what I heard? I heard a master manipulator who can't even own his shit straight up. I heard my father's voice. Nah, you heard Letitia James about to end your whole career, and you dipped before they could drag you through the mud.
But that's the genius. He turns his humiliation into nobility. Public service is about serving the public. He makes running away sound like Joan of Arc at the stake. And now look, 37% in the polls. The man's leading by 20 points.
Because New York Democrats got amnesia. This dude said he was number 38 in nursing home deaths like that's a victory lap. 38! You know how many grandmas that is? But he delivers it with that Cuomo swagger, and suddenly everyone forgets.
Forget? They remember everything. That's why this is magnificent. They remember COVID briefings. They remember him going toe-to-toe with Trump. They remember when Democrats actually built things instead of arguing about pronouns.
Hold up, hold up. Did you hear him on the Socialists? My man said, you can't be a Yankees fan and a Red Sox fan. Like socialism is some jersey you can't wear in the wrong borough. Meanwhile, Mamdani's got 15,000 donors to Cuomo's 2,000. That's not Twitter activism, that's a movement.
A movement of children who think government-run grocery stores are feasible. $30 minimum wage. You know what happens with a $30 minimum wage in New York? Every bodega becomes a Chase Bank.
At least Mamdani's not out here talking about, I was always progressive while bragging about adding cops through the MTA. You can't be FDR and Giuliani at the same time, but Cuomo's trying.
That's exactly what you can be. That's what progressive meant before your generation turned it into a purity test. Build the subway and arrest the guy masturbating on it.
Yo, did you hear him on Eric Adams, though? Tragic. One word, ice cold. His boy made a deal with Trump to avoid federal prison and Cuomo just buried him on podcast. That's some Corleone shit.
Because Adams broke the cardinal rule, never let them see you sweat. Cuomo would have fought those charges until his last dollar. Adams folded like a bodega umbrella. Of course it's tragic.
But Cuomo folded too. He just told Bari he regrets resigning. So which is it? Noble sacrifice or political calculation?
Both. That's the beauty of power. You can rewrite your own story. 4 years ago, he's a predator. Today, he's talking about reconnecting with his Catholic faith. The man's running the full redemption arc.
The Catholic faith that somehow lets him dodge the question about going to Mass? Church itself is different. Man, just say you don't go.
Why should he? He's not running for Pope. He's running for mayor. You want him kissing babies at St. Patrick's while the subway's on fire?
I want him to stop pretending he's still his father's son when he's clearly Dick Cheney in a polo shirt. You hear him on school choice? Can't even give a straight answer because the teachers' union owns his ass.
The teachers' union that actually wins elections. Your boy Mamdani can have all the small donors he wants. When November comes, it's the unions who turn out voters over 50. And guess what? They vote.
This is what kills me about y'all. You see a 72% turnout from old heads and think that's democracy instead of a gerontocracy. Cuomo's whole pitch is, remember when I was competent? That's not vision. That's nostalgia.
Nostalgia for when the fucking trains ran. For when you could build an airport without 17 community boards having a feeling circle. He built LaGuardia, JFK, the 2nd Avenue subway.
And now he's reduced to, I know it's a novel concept, but hire someone with experience. You know who else had experience? Eric Adams? Dinkins? Every mayor who watched this city slide backward while checking their pension math.
Don't compare Cuomo to Dinkins. Cuomo fights. You see him with Bari? She's trying to corner him on nursing homes, and he comes back with data. Only 12 states did better. That's not defense, that's offense.
That's gaslighting. We were number 38 doesn't erase the cover-up. It doesn't erase his own health commissioner crying on Zoom. But he banks on people being too tired to remember details.
People are tired. They're tired of ideological experiments, tired of the DSA treating New York like their socialist sandbox. You know what Cuomo offers? The same thing Trump offers. I'll make the bad men go away.
By becoming the bad man. Listen to him on migrants. Governor Abbott was politically effective. He's praising the man who shipped humans like cargo.
He's acknowledging reality, which is more than your progressive heroes do when they're Instagramming from their brownstones about no human is illegal while working families can't afford rent.
So the solution is Cuomo? The man who legalized weed then wants to arrest you for smoking it on the subway?
Yes, that's called governing. You can smoke weed in your apartment, not in a metal tube with strangers. This isn't complicated.
Everything's simple when you've got Cuomo vision. Crime, more cops, housing, trust me, I built stuff in the 90s. Education, phonics are back, baby.
And what's Mamdani's solution? Nationalize the bodegas? Free Metro cards for everyone? At some point, someone has to actually run the city, not tweet about it.
At least Mamdani's honest about what he believes. Cuomo can't even admit he changed positions. I was always progressive. Brother, you courted Republicans in 2010.
Because that's what winners do. They build coalitions, not purity spirals. You think FDR checked everyone's socialist credentials before passing Social Security?
FDR didn't have to answer for covering up nursing home deaths while doing prop comedy with giant Q-tips.
And that's why Cuomo's comeback is even more impressive. He ate every piece of shit they threw at him and came back asking for seconds. That's not shameless. That's strength.
That's sociopathy. Normal people feel shame. Normal people don't hear their dead dad telling them to quit and then decide 3 years later, actually, Pop was wrong.
Normal people don't become governor or mayor. Cuomo's not normal. He's necessary, like chemotherapy. Nobody enjoys it, but it beats the alternative.
The alternative being what? Democracy? Young people having a voice? The city actually changing instead of just changing back?
The alternative is Chicago, Detroit, San Francisco. Every city that let the activists drive while the adults argued about privilege. Cuomo's offering the oldest deal in politics. Give me power and I'll fix your problems.
And we're supposed to trust him because he built an airport? Because he knows which pizza joint to name drop? Gabby's in Queens, by the way. Could he pander any harder?
It's not pandering if you mean it. The man's a Queens kid who made good. That's the entire New York story.
The New York story is supposed to be about the future, not some guy who thinks 2019 was the pinnacle of human achievement. Cuomo's running to be mayor of a city that doesn't exist anymore.
Wrong. He's running to restore the city that always existed, the one that works, the one that builds, the one that doesn't apologize for winning,
The one where harassment gets you a timeout instead of a conviction?
the one where results matter more than rhetoric, where you can disagree without being a Nazi, where competence isn't a microaggression.
Listen to yourself. You sound like you're ready to make him emperor.
And you sound like you'd rather lose nobly than win ugly. That's the difference between us, Jalen. I understand power. You understand protest.
I understand that Cuomo represents everything wrong with democratic politics. The entitlement, the dynasties, the wait your turn while the city burns.
The city's burning because we stopped letting people like Cuomo run it. We gave it to activists and idealists, and look where we are. Scared of the subway, stepping over syringes, paying $4,000 for a studio.
And Cuomo's going to fix that how? By being mean to socialists on podcasts?
By being mean to everyone, by not giving a fuck about your feelings, by building things and arresting people and making the hard choices that make children like you cry.
Children like me. There it is. The boomer jumped out. Anyone under 50 is a child who doesn't understand how things really work.
Anyone who thinks Zohran Mamdani can run New York is a child. This isn't a student government election. It's a knife fight for the soul of the city.
And Cuomo's got the biggest knife because he inherited it from Daddy.
He's got the biggest knife because he spent 40 years sharpening it. That's the difference between earned power and Twitter followers.
Twitter followers vote.
No, they don't. That's the whole point. They tweet, they march, they podcast, but when it's time to fill in the bubble, they're at brunch.
Keep thinking that. Keep thinking the future looks like the past with better Wi-Fi. Cuomo's leading now, but this city's changing whether he admits it or not.
Then why's he up 20 points? Why's Adams imploding? Why's every progressive in the race fighting for second place?
Because fear works. Because remember when things were better works. Because Democrats are so scared of losing, they'll vote for their own executioner if he promises to make it quick.
or because they remember what actual governance looks like, what it feels like to have someone in charge who doesn't need a committee to decide what to have for lunch.
Someone who hears voices telling him when to quit?
Someone who comes back from the dead. That's biblical, Jalen. That's power you can't buy or inherit or tweet into existence.
It's power built on lies and cover-ups and backroom deals with Trump's boys.
Welcome to New York, kid. You want clean hands? Move to Vermont. You want a functioning city? Hold your nose and vote Cuomo.
I'd rather vote for someone who doesn't make me hold my nose.
Then you'd rather lose. And that's why people like Cuomo always win. They understand the assignment. You're still writing the syllabus.
The assignment is building a city for everyone, not just people who remember when Times Square had porn theaters.
The assignment is making sure the city exists for everyone. And that takes someone who knows the difference between governing and grandstanding.
Cuomo knows the difference. He just does both at the same time.
Exactly. Finally, you're learning.